listeners. It's your host, Sarah Hall. Thanks for listening to Peoria Theater People, a podcast where I shine a spotlight on the extraordinary stories of local artists in the Central Illinois area. Thanks for tuning back into Peoria Theater People. I'm so thrilled that you're back and decided to listen to another conversation. This conversation is with Mary Rose Smith. Some of you may know her as Mary Rose Williams, and you may have heard her soaring soprano in the Peoria area in productions like Les Miserables, West Side Story, Camelot. She's just such a sweet and joyous and genuine spirit, and I was so thrilled to chat with her on the podcast and just kind of share her story. So thank you so much. And I also want to just make sure to ask that you rate and review Peoria Theater People, and also don't forget to click subscribe. And if you would, share this with a friend or family member. I would be so grateful if you were to kind of share these stories and help me spread the word. And I so appreciate all of your support, and I'm overwhelmed by the love and support that I've gotten so far. So thank you so much for tuning back in. And here is my next conversation with Mary Rose Smith. Hi, Mary Rose.
Hey, Sarah.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome to Peoria Theater People.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
This is so fun. So Mary Rose and I were just talking, and we were realizing that I think the first time we did a show together that we can remember is actually 2018, which...
Yes.
That doesn't feel real.
It doesn't. It feels like a lot longer than that, honestly.
It does feel like we've known each other way longer. And I saw you do productions of West Side Story, and I've seen you do shows before that, but I don't think we really got to know each other before then. But a fun fact about you is that you have played Maria in West Side Story twice.
Yeah.
And also, I think two of your sisters besides you have played Maria.
Yes, one older sister, one younger sister also played Maria in different productions.
That's crazy. And all your siblings have been in West Side Story at one point or another.
We're slightly obsessed. So all of us have been in some kind of production of West Side Story in the area, in Central Illinois. So the first time, the first 4 were in it together. And this was a while back for Peoria Players Youth Theater, and so they were all involved with it, all had so much fun. I remember going to see it, and I was a kid and just fell in love with it right away, just like they did. And then sometime later, Youth Theater did it again, and so me and my 2 younger sisters, Christine and Teresa, all auditioned, all made it, and we're all so excited to do it. And then sometime later, my younger sister played Maria in Bloomington. And then after that, I was Maria again for community theater at Players. So yeah, we're, if there's going to be West Side Story auditions, we'll likely be there.
Oh my goodness. And anyone who knows the Williams family is going to know that you guys are a musical theater family, I think, but you also have a lot more to you than that even. So I'm excited to get to know more about you and that connection. But yeah, I think that's so cool that you have that connection with your sisters, too. That's got to be such a bonding experience, I feel like.
It's so much fun. We love doing shows together, and with our crazy schedules lately, it hasn't happened recently, but it's the memories we made together are just, it's priceless.
Awesome. And you just worked with your brother, Harry.
Yeah.
Again, on Plaid Tidings recently
Yes.
at Metamora Fields, which you were able to get that production in after it was postponed a little bit. So that was good. I'm glad you guys got a chance to do that at the Fields.
Yeah, absolutely. We were thrilled to get it in. And it's technically a Christmas show, but we were just so thrilled to be able to put it in. And we knew that people would still have fun and enjoy it, even though it's not Christmas anymore. Yes. So that was so fun. Yeah, and it was great to get my brother Harry back in theater after a little bit of a hiatus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
How did
so
you
great.
convince him to do it?
Oh my gosh, the grace of God. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. No, but he was in tons of shows in the area, and then met his beautiful wife Catherine. And so they have an amazing family together and so many adorable little kids. So I completely understand. It's for a good reason, the hiatus. But, they had so much fun watching their dad on stage, which you hope that soon they're able to do shows with him, which is so fun.
So awesome. I hope they get a chance to do that too.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm wondering, Mary Rose, this is what I ask all my guests when they come on the podcast. I kind of want to know, how did you get your start in Peoria theater? Like, what made you get involved in the community? What was your start there?
Oh my gosh. So when So I was born into a family of 7 kids, so nice big family. And ever since I was born, my mom would take us around to local nursing homes to entertain the residents. So she would choreograph and come up with these little shows that we would put on. Sometimes it'd be like patriotic theme in the summer, and sometimes Christmas shows. So we'd go around, and it was just one of the ways we gave back to the community, is just performing for residents in nursing homes who get lonely and want some entertainment. So she would carry around all her little kids, and we'd all sing songs together. And eventually we're able to perform at different conventions around the U.S. and got to go to Disney and perform there. So performing's always been in my blood. I mean, it's been just the most natural thing in the world growing up into it. I was singing and dancing before I could talk. So it's just been something that's just been second nature to me. So when I was probably in junior high, I don't remember exactly, probably a little younger. But when I was younger, my older siblings were in high school and college, and they decided to try out for a show at Peoria Players. And they all got in. It was one of the youth productions. And I think their first one, I think it was Once on This Island. And oh my gosh, we all just fell in love with theater. We're just like, oh my gosh, this is a thing that happens. This is amazing. So they did that, and then they did West Side Story as another youth show. They were both directed by one of the most amazing directors that ever walked Earth, Randy Douglas. And we just all realized, wow, like you could bring amazing full productions to life and just have such an amazing time doing it. So I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. So sometime later, Peoria Players announced they were going to do Seussical the Musical. And so me, my 2 younger sisters, 2 of my older sisters, and my mom all auditioned as like a part of our family and all got in. And it was so fun. We got to do this show together.
Was that Pamoria's production?
So this was Connie Sin's production.
Connie Sin. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Wow, it must have been like 2004. I know I'm getting that wrong, but
sure,
something like
sure.
that. So we all did it together, all had a blast doing it. And so that was the first show, the community show that I was in. So ever since then, yeah, I've just been so excited to take part in the amazing theaters that Peoria has to offer.
And are you the 4th?
I'm the 5th of 7. So
5th of 7. Yeah. Oh, so you're one of, okay, I guess I knew that, but I had no concept. You're one of the younger kind of siblings in your family. So were Harry and some of your older sisters doing theater first, it sounds like?
So it was my oldest sibling's Harry. So it was one boy and then 6 girls. You know, God bless my parents, my poor dad. So it was Harry, Anna, Maria, and Laura. They're the ones that were like our little pioneers with theater. So they're the ones that tried it out after, you know, having performed their whole lives as well. So yeah, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I had them to look up to and had them as my example and so what. Cool. Yeah.
And it sounds like when you were younger and you would go out and perform for people just out of the goodness of your hearts, it seems like such a way that your family would give back to the community. Like that doesn't even surprise me.
We were so lucky that our parents had us do that. We're so lucky we had that example and knew how to use our gifts, because music, and it's such a gift, it is. And so for them to have recognized, well, they were each so musically talented themselves, right, and had been in shows themselves and been singing their whole lives. So to have parents that just were like, you know, yeah, we're going to do this as a family. We're going to, which I'm sure it was very difficult. Like, yes, you know, when you have 7 kids and all with different personalities, and to all come right together and put on a show just, you know, for the community. And it's so much fun. So yeah, I feel really blessed to have that example and have them pave the way for us like that.
And it just sounds like it's bonded your family, and that had to have impacted you growing up.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it got you involved in the Peoria theater community, which is incredible. And I want to know more about that Seussical production and how that went for you and what that was like, just kind of your first time being in a production, meeting people, being a part of that theater life. What was that like?
Oh, so much fun. So to have done it with 4 sisters and my mom, it was so much fun. So one of my older sister Maria was a bird girl, and me and the rest of my sisters and my mom were all Who's in Whoville. And like, just to be part of such a fun story, and you know, just to bring it to life for an audience for the first time. And I feel, and you know this, like whenever you're in a show, it's just, you learn something new every show, especially that first one. I mean, you learn so much together. So to get to perform it together, like you already know people, and like, because that could always be scary too, your first show, not knowing anybody. So
oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But being kind and being generous is something that connects you with people, and I think you and your family have that gift.
Thanks.
But I think that's what struck me about you, getting to know you better for the first time, is just your sweet spirit. And
oh gosh, Sarah, right back at you. It's so fun.
I mean, and you're so humble and gracious, and I think you're amazingly talented, having watched you do multiple productions and worked with you in a couple. It's cool to see where you've come, knowing that about your family background, you know.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
And now you teach music.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. So tell me about how did you want to teach music growing up? Was that something you planned on doing? I mean, obviously you love music, but
well, music has, like we've been talking about, has always been just second nature to me. I mean, my mom made me and all my siblings start piano lessons by the time we were like 4 years old, and I'm so glad she did. I mean, it's not something every kid wants to stick with, but I'm so glad she made us stick with it, and it just made us better musicians and just helped with so many things. So we had I never really thought of music teaching as my career, but we always went to church at St. Phil's, which is where I work now. And so that's always just felt like home to me. We still do go to church there. And when I was little, I remember us singing for different Christmas masses or services, and we'd be in the choir loft. And I was a little kid, and I remember having to step up on the little stool to have to reach the microphone. So I loved singing with my family there. It just, like I said, always felt like home to worship God there. So I was working in communications because in college, that's what I majored in, communications and video production. And initially, I was just going to minor in music, but my voice teacher at ICC told me, no, you have to major in music too. And I was like, well, I really don't picture myself making a career out of it. How, the whole stereotypical, how could you, find a job in music? So she was like, no, I'm going to be furious and like never forgive you if you don't do it. And I'm so glad she said that, because I was like, if she really feels like she knows my voice really well, she knows what talents I have, so maybe I should listen. So eventually I prayed about it and decided, okay, I'll double major, which is insane, but it worked out. And so I was working in communications, and my husband Tyler was in a show and heard from the amazing lady doing props there that there was a teaching position open at St. Phil's, that they were going to lose their music teacher, and she wasn't sure who they'd get. And Tyler was like, well, Mary Rose can teach music. And so, not actually knowing whether it'd work out, but I applied, and I'm so glad that I was hired, and it's just so fulfilling. It's, one of the most amazing feelings in the world to share such a beautiful gift with kids. So.
And you work with what grades, remind me?
So I teach music to kindergarten through 8th grade. Used to be pre-K through 8th grade, but with COVID, just kindergarten through 8th grade.
Sure. And do you have a certain grade level or age that you love working with? I mean, I'm sure you love working with all of them, but
oh my gosh,
is there a fun age that you really love?
It's so funny to work with all of the grades. It's very challenging, because every age is so different, but it's adorable for just different reasons. Like the littles, K through like 3rd, they're so cute, and they're just so wide-eyed and just in wonder of everything around them. So it's just so beautiful to see that innocence and how excited they get about, any little instrument I bring. I brought an egg shaker in this week as like my featured instrument. They were freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, it blew their mind. And so then 4th and 5th grade, they're so cute. Their little sense of humor is starting to develop, and they're so excited to share anything and everything. And they're really like soaking up all of the knowledge I can share with them. And then junior high, of course, it's so much fun to see how far they've grown, especially this is my 5th year teaching there. So it's so much fun to see how much they've grown and just see their personalities develop and get, be excited to see what the world has in store for them. They're just starting out their young adult lives, and it's so much fun to think about what the great things they're going to do.
And I think working with those kids has probably really prepared you well, as well as your studies. And you went to Bradley, right?
Yeah.
And ICC both.
ICC then Bradley.
So I'm sure like the combination of those experiences also prepped you really well to start music directing, which you do frequently at least from time to time, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You just music directed Plaid Tidings. That was your most recent one. Mm-hmm. So when did you start music directing, and what was that first experience you had there?
Well, so I never realized how incredibly how incredible a job a music director has. I mean, it's so difficult. It's such a wonderful job, but like I just think that when you're in theater, you don't realize everything that goes into every single specific part that goes into theater, every role.
Yes.
So I couldn't possibly have prepared or imagined. But so after I started teaching at St. Phil's, I would music direct their shows. Being the music teacher there, that was part of my responsibility, was to music direct their shows. I'm like, this is really fun. It's fun to be on this side of theater. And then Tyler and I started directing together, and we kind of split the directing roles and everything, and I tended to shift more into like the music directing role, since that was my job anyway, and that's what I'm really comfortable getting that done. So It started with the music teaching job, and it's kind of grown from there. And then most recently Plaid Tidings at the Fields, but I've also done a $1 Million Quartet at Peoria Players Theater, which was such a blast.
Production.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was, so at the Fields and Peoria Players, those were my like entryway into music directing community theater.
That's awesome. And I think to me, it feels like you've been doing it forever.
It feels like that for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's been, a few years, I would say, based on that. And, you know, working with Mary Ellen and Tyler and everybody.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I wonder, as you've been talking, you kind of pointed out that there are so many roles that go into a musical theater production, and not everyone fully realizes sometimes, including us, like how much people give their heart and soul to these projects. So what is the most challenging part of the music directing process, and what's the part you love the most? So that's kind of a twofold question.
Yeah.
But what's the most challenging part and the most fun part of music directing?
I'd say the most challenging part is just the very beginning process of music rehearsals. I mean, I love music. I think it's just the most beautiful thing. I love to share it. However, like the first couple of weeks of music rehearsals are so intense, because there's always so much. I mean, it's a musical. I mean, the characters express their thoughts through singing. So there's so much content to cover.
Right.
And everyone is just trying to immerse themselves in this. We're trying to figure out who's going to sing what part. And so, I mean, the first couple of weeks are just insane. And I always tell the cast, like, I'm sorry in advance. These next couple of weeks are just going to be absolutely insane. It's not going to be the most fun thing in the world, because we're learning something new.
Right.
But once you get those parts, once you practice them at home and you get it ingrained in your memory, like, oh my gosh, it's going to be the most amazing feeling. So I think that the first time you're rehearsing and it just really clicks, and like everyone's harmonizing in the most beautiful way because they've practiced and because you've spent the time and the blood, sweat, and tears teaching it to them. And the first time it really clicks, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And so I'd say there's always a point when it clicks and that I start getting goosebumps, and I'm like, okay, this is a show. This is going to click. This is going to be beautiful.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, that first rehearsal, and you're trying to learn the music and get everyone connected, but then also seeing it click, it's just like the challenge also almost like sets you up to have that moment where it really makes it worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. And you probably, do you score study a long time before the rehearsals start? Like how long do you spend? Because I know I never music directed, but I know some people spend months, and some people, I don't know. I really don't know, I guess.
You know, it kind of depends on the show too. So like
That's
if I'm familiar enough with the show, I sight read, and so it doesn't take too long to figure it out and to figure out parts. But and practice the piano, playing the piano to accompany rehearsals. But I mean, if it's a brand new show, then usually I start by just immersing myself in the album and listening to all of the songs on repeat, just to really soak it in. And then it's a pretty easy process to pick up the sheet music and figure it out. So it's interesting because I mean, I do sight read and love learning music that way. It makes it a lot easier, but listening to it and really just filling your brain with the music first, it makes it a lot easier just to have it in your head then. So it just depends on the show. I mean, if it's a show I'm not familiar with yet, I want my hands on it as soon as possible to start listening to it, start practicing it, so that by the time it gets to the rehearsal room, it flows really smoothly.
And some shows, let's be real, or just have harder music than others.
Absolutely.
Too.
Absolutely.
What I mean?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Do you have any dream shows that you want to music direct?
Oh my gosh, that's hard. I don't know. So music directing wise, Not offhand. I can't think of any specific shows. I'm like, oh, I need to
Okay.
music direct this, just
Sure.
only because like there's shows I'd love to work in.
Right.
However, like I really don't care how how I would work in it, whether it's directing it, music directing, choreographing, because I love to choreograph too, because dancing's
Yes.
such a big part of my life as well, or just being a part of it in some role.
Right.
You know, so for me, it's a blessing to have worked in all those different areas, because
Right.
I wouldn't like, there's just certain shows I'd love to work in still, but I don't care how which facet it is.
And you've done choreographing a lot with St. Phil's, right?
Yeah, so I've choreographed some of their shows as well. And then I choreograph those shows at Metamora High School right now, which I love working with that team. They're so
that's
fun.
right. That's so
and the kids
fun.
are so talented. So it's so much fun to work with the director, Kevin Hicks, and my husband Tyler does those as well because he went there.
Yes.
So it's so much fun. Oh, and the theater is beautiful. It's so much fun to work there. So I'm choreographing for them last year and this year and love it. And
Awesome.
yeah, so I love dancing too. I just love all aspects of art and
I think
theater.
I remember at one point, maybe when we were doing Hunchback, you were gearing up to do Joseph or something
Yeah,
like that. Something like that. But I think
Yeah.
that was St. Phil's, if I remember
So,
right.
well, both St. Phil's, we did it at St. Phil's, helped out there, and at Metamora High School did it
Okay,
last year.
that's
So
right.
Joseph's another one we've just done several times.
I mean, let's be real, in the Peoria area.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If you're in
You
the
can't
theater
avoid it.
community, I mean, and you've done Joseph at Eastlight.
Yeah.
Like, you've done all the Josephs everywhere.
Any possible Joseph, just, taste them all. But we love that show too. It's a really fun show. So yeah, why fight it?
I mean, no, not at all. Like, don't fight it. Do it. Embrace it.
Yeah.
And you get to work with Tyler on so many of these.
Yeah.
And a fun fact is that you met your husband doing Cinderella
Yeah.
back in the day. And
Yeah.
Marielle and Ulrich will probably still to this day be like, I had a hand in that relationship.
So good. Yeah.
Yes.
So we knew of each other before that, and we had seen each other in shows.
Okay.
And definitely were fans of each other's work before, because I remember seeing a couple shows he was in and with my sisters, and I was like, oh, that
Sure.
Tyler guy is just amazing. Like, he doesn't believe that I said that, but I promise I did. And so yeah, Cinderella in 2015 was the first time we got to actually like work closely together,
Sure.
because we were in Mimi and St. Louis together, but we didn't really have any parts together or scenes
Sure.
together. So just in passing. But
Wait, was that with CCT?
no, that one was Mary Ellen's at Peoria Players, the main
Okay, because I was
stage.
going to say, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Cinderella was the first time you got to work closely
Yeah,
together. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh
So-
my
so
gosh,
much
what was
fun,
that
yeah.
like?
Oh, such a fairy tale. I mean, it legit is. And I'm sorry if I'm making anyone nauseous with the cheesiness, but like, it legitimately was. I mean, neither of us expected it. I remember I was at my grandparents' house and I got the message there, saw the cast list went up and was like, oh my gosh, I got it. Like, so excited, and saw Tyler's name and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never worked with him before. I'm so excited. So, yeah, working together was an insane experience. He was really busy at the time, so he wasn't at many rehearsals at first. So I remember being low-key frustrated. Like, the prince is never at rehearsals. Like, how are we going to pull this together, Mom?
That's awesome.
So she likes to remind me of that. Like, oh, like you always said he was never at rehearsals. I was like, well, just at the beginning. And then when he finally decided to show up, no, I'm kidding. But when he
hilarious.
was at Moore, we just like clicked and we just became best friends. It was like the most natural thing in the world. And so just like texting all the time when we're not together, trying to be together every second, just because we were so similar, and just it felt so natural, like I said. So shortly after that, we started dating, and it's just, yeah, it's been a fairy tale ever since.
And
Insane.
it's grown into this beautiful,
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to hear about how it was so genuine and sweet, and it grew organically, and it started out as a friendship, and then you just wanted to be together.
Yeah.
So you were,
Yeah.
But
No, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure like everyone has that moment where like, oh, I just wish I could do this with my significant other and play this role opposite them. And there are those people that want that, and you got to live that. That's kind of just really cool. And you'll always have that special memory and bond with him too.
Oh, absolutely. And as you know, like when you do a show, it just wraps up so much of your life, and it's such
It
a
does.
commitment, no matter what part you are,
It is.
no matter how you're involved with it. I mean, it takes a lot of nights rehearsing. It takes a lot of preparation, a lot of research. It just takes a lot out of you, honestly. And so to get to do that together, you know, a lot now. It's like that's just something we love to do together. So we love to work on shows together, whether it's being in it together or whether it's directing it together, something like that. Any way, shape, or form. It's like, since it's such a commitment, it's fun to do that together because we get to be together and spend time with each other and not have to be apart for that long.
Right. And I think anytime I've worked with you and Tyler, I think at least in the past few years, for sure, like we've been together
in the past few, yeah, for sure. In the past few years, we're really excited to have gotten to do that. Yeah,
because Hunchback, I mean, he was Quasimodo, and we were in the ensemble together, you and I. And I just remember you would follow him around with a water bottle, and you were ready to help him whenever he needed
poor guy.
it.
Yeah, I was constantly his like sweat, like soaker upper, and giving him water.
That kid was exerting so much energy, and he was giving it all out on the stage. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
It was wonderful to watch him do that. But
oh, yeah.
And then, of course, West Side Story, you got to play Tony and Maria together, too.
So fun. Oh, what a beautiful show. That was so fun.
Which, for the record, I just want to say, I called that. When I knew that Travis was directing that, I was like, Tyler and Mary Rose have to be Tony and Maria. And so I was so thrilled when I saw the cast list, and I got to work with you guys on that.
That was
so
such
fun.
a wonderful show. Oh my gosh. And anytime we get to work with Travis and Cliff, we jump at the opportunity. They're amazing. Oh my goodness.
They're awesome.
Yeah, to get to do it together was amazing. I mean, I loved the first experience I had with West Side Story.
Right.
Peggy Bro directed it for youth, and I got to do it, like I said, with my two younger sisters, and it was just an amazing show, such a tight-knit cast.
Right.
One of those shows that, like, everyone, it just felt like family. It was so much fun.
Right.
But, I mean, when I saw it come around again, I was like, oh, how special would this be to share this experience with Tyler? So we just went for it. We were so excited because, fun. Oh, my gosh, if anyone's seen it, they know what a beautiful musical it is. Yes. So amazing.
So beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And then, since then, you've obviously still worked together as much as you can, but you both are involved with Metamora Fields, which I think is a really awesome up-and-coming organization, and you started to do some really cool things over there. So tell me how you got involved with Metamora Fields.
Yeah, okay, so in 2017, we auditioned for the show The Fantastics. So Kurt and Anita Rowden, our dear friends, they're amazing. They started the Metamora Thespian Society. And it's a theater group just that they started, and the mission is just to give Metamora, like, anyone, but to provide theater in Metamora. So they teamed up with the amazing folks at Metamora Fields, which we love working at the Fields. Any chance we could go there, we do. It's just so beautiful. So they just started doing theater there, so we decided to audition for the Fantastics, and we're excited to play the two parts in that. So ever since then, we've been hooked. We joined the board for the Metamora Thespian Society, so we've been excited to keep doing theater. And then we directed Life Could Be a Dream together, which is a jukebox musical, 50s and 60s, like doo-wop, which was a blast. We were in it and directed that, and we were still a really small group back then. And since then, it's grown a lot. So the past couple of years, we put on the Christmas production of Forever Plaid, which was so much fun. Yes. And Tyler's been in that too. And then you came and auditioned for a show there, which was so fun. We had to run tech for it because we were like, we have to be involved in this show.
Yes, it was so much fun.
For Charlie Brown. So yeah, I think it's just such a fun organization because it's dinner theater, which is unique. Yes. And you don't get to do that every day. No. So you get to sit, watch a show, and eat the amazing food that Metamora Fields cooks up. So.
And I feel like it's something that, Peoria players in Cornstalk and Eastlight, not to their fault at all, but they just don't offer that kind of experience.
Right.
And you have the Barn Theater, which is closer to Bloomington, Normal area, and you have community players over in Bloomington. Yeah. But, it's kind of, I don't know, it's almost like it's filling in just another opportunity for people to come out and eat some delicious pot roast and watch a fun show.
Absolutely.
So you were doing the Fantastics, and who did you guys play in that?
We were Matt and Louisa, so the two lovers in that musical. Yeah, and
it's with the significant other parts. I love it. No, I really love it.
Oh, it's so fun. Oh, we love it. It was such a beautiful musical. I love it. It's just really fun. So we were able to do that, and then like I said, we did Life Could Be a Dream. We've done other ones with them too, like some Christmas shows, and then Ring of Fire was really fun. That's all about the music of Johnny Cash, and I had never listened to much country music before that show, and then I was like, oh my gosh, Johnny Cash is the most amazing thing. So we've been a little bit obsessed with him ever since. So that was really fun to be part of.
And so Anita and Kurt kind of started the organization, and then you joined the board a little later.
Yes.
Okay.
So It had been going on, oh my gosh, at least 1 or 2 years before we joined. And
Okay.
I know that they did a production of Forever Plaid, so we didn't know that anything about the organization at that point. So we're excited that we quote unquote discovered it in 2017. Yeah.
And I hope you continue to grow it. And I think you
absolutely.
have plans to, I think. So,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you guys come up with next. But I think the next show is 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Hopefully.
Yes, we're planning on that in the fall.
If all systems go,
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, God willing. Yeah, that's supposed to be in this October, directed by Lisa White, who did Charlie Brown when you were in it. Yeah,
shout
amazing.
out to Lisa.
Yeah,
Love her.
So amazing. So that'll be a really fun one this fall, and then we'll be announcing, I'm sure, some more for next year coming up soon
so
here.
Much fun. Okay, well, good, because I'm always looking out for Metamora Thespian Society and
Yay,
seeing what comes up and what you guys are planning on doing.
Absolutely.
So cool. And again, I think it's just this wonderful that we need in the Metamora area, and it's kind of one of those places that's not too far from Peoria, and it's not too much to drive out there and do a show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or go see a show. So I think my family and friends were kind of excited to see this new venue and kind of just not have to go to Peoria Players or another. And they love coming to see the productions. But that's exactly it. Get a different experience, because you love Peoria Players so much, and Cornstalk and
absolutely. And every single organization, it's so fun to see just like the unique thing they all bring, because no two groups are alike, it's just so cool. It's just so cool.
Exactly it. And I think that's what's so special too about what everyone has something different to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. A different experience from every theater. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I love it.
Do you have any experiences besides kind of Seussical and that initial production? Do you have any theater experiences that really just stand out for you or impacted you in a specific way that you can think of?
I like that question. Oh, Sarah, I'm sure there's like so many. It's crazy. Because like I said, like every show just gives you something new. It just
totally,
and you just never expect it. So one that always has stuck out to me is I got to play Cosette in Les Mis at East Light in 2015. Yeah, this was before Cinderella. And I was so excited because it was the second time East Light did it in like the span of a couple years.
That's right.
And I went to see the first one. I was like, and it was the first time I'd seen the youth production of it at Cornstalk years before and loved it. So I saw it at East Light the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be part of this if they ever do it again, and was so glad when they announced it. So I auditioned, and the amazing Robin Hunt directed it.
Right.
And Sean Dagenhart, who's a genius, music directed it. So I was so excited to audition and got Cosette, and was just over the moon. And I was like, oh no, like Cosette's the person that everyone wants to fail. Everyone wants Ebony to end up with Marius. What have I gotten myself into? So my sole goal was, I was like, I don't want people to hate Cosette, like poor thing. And so I was so excited when people came up to me afterwards. So many people were like, you're the first Cosette I didn't hate. And I was like, yes, that was my goal.
You met your goal. It's so true though, because people watch Cosette and you have to make her someone to root for, because you kind of are like inclined and set up to root for Ebony.
Absolutely.
Which I understand.
I get to.
But no, and you know what? My best friend still talks about that production to this day.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, he went and he was blown away. Oh. He's literally every couple weeks, I probably hear about it.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
It's just, and you know what? Unfortunately, I have to admit, I didn't get a chance to see that production, but I have seen clips.
Oh, yay.
Because there are clips on YouTube.
2015, Les Mis.
Yes, 2015, Les Mis East Light. Yes,
oh
so
gosh.
I have gotten to see some clips from that production, which is
so good.
So good.
Oh my gosh. It was so the first rehearsal, I walked in, and thank God I did my research, and thank God I knew the part, because I walked into that first music rehearsal and literally everyone already knew their parts. And it was like, I've never had an experience like that, but everyone knew a vocal part they fit into. Everyone just like started singing everything. So they're like, okay, stand up. It's time for the Cosette solo. And I'm like, oh no. But thank goodness I had done my research and do it. So I remember every night, because East Light can hold so many people, and it was a packed house every night.
It's huge.
So good. And so it's just such a fun experience to play to a full house. It just is. So every night during one of the cafe scenes, I'd be on the Revolve, because East Light has this amazing revolving stage. So I'd be on the Revolve on the other side, backstage, waiting for my solo in my life. And then the Revolve would slowly turn during the applause. And I just remember it's still being dark on stage, but looking out into the audience, and then the lights come up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
that's awesome.
And just I get goosebumps every night just looking out and thinking,
So awesome.
how many people are seeing this production tonight, and hopefully everybody gets something different out of it. And when you're a part of a powerful show and you know it has such a beautiful message, like Les Mis or like Hunchback of Notre Dame, like you know people are going to walk out of that theater, you know, with their hearts a little bit changed. You just know they are.
Yes.
How could they not?
You're so right. And I think you just touched on part of the reason that theater is so special to all of us and why we keep doing it time after time and why we come back to it, because we want to impact and touch the audience for sure.
Yeah.
And also, I think In My Life is one of the most underrated Les Mis songs. I don't know how you feel, but I think it's so good. And everyone, you know, of course, there's On My Own, there's Bring Him Home, there's One Day More, which are all fabulous. But In My Life is so good.
Oh, I agree. I love In My Life. Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's so gorgeous. So I love that. So that experience kind of impacted you. Do you think because you got to see what it feels like to impact an audience and you just kind of really felt immersed in the experience and the community was so great?
Yeah, I think so. And also just because performing on stage has just been something I love so much. And I don't know if it's because I've done it my whole life, you know, since I was a baby, but I just honestly, it's just such a feeling like, I don't know, everybody probably has something they do or a hobby that they're like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, like at least, you know, as a hobby. So I just got that feeling every night. And there's always a moment I feel like in every show where I get that feeling. But like that was my feeling for Les Mis. I'm like, yeah, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. This is going to touch someone's heart tonight.
And clearly you have a connection to that experience because that's what came to your mind, you know, as you were thinking about it. For sure. And I think that's amazing. And I think that's incredible. It's cool to hear you talk about it. And I think when I watch you perform too, it always seems so effortless.
Oh gosh.
And I know you put in the work and I know you do what you need to do and I know you're also crazy talented, but it just always seems so effortless and like second nature.
Oh gosh, thank you.
It just does. I almost can't explain what it is. It's just, I don't know, you just become Maria or you become whatever character, Cosette, you know what I mean?
Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you.
It's
well,
so
it
true.
always feels really, really natural to get to play someone on stage and get to immerse myself in their story and what they were feeling and you know how you can bring the story to life. And
totally. Yeah,
it's always something that's felt very natural and very at home to me for sure.
Do you have any characters you really relate to that you've played before for any reason? I know it's sometimes you may not, but like, do you have any characters you just feel like you connect with or relate to more than others?
I feel like every character I've gotten to play, there's something about them that I always dig through and to try to go in depth into a character study and try to tear apart the character and what makes them tick. And I feel like there's always something that I can relate to for sure. And then obviously there's always parts that are like, okay, how am I going to make this work? Like this, you know, isn't me type thing. But yeah, there's always been something that I can identify with and connect with. And I think that's really important because
it is.
If you can't find, I think it makes a more authentic performance if you can find what makes that character click and then find a way to connect with it.
So I love that you also, as you were talking, I was thinking, I love that you music direct and you know, I would say direct and you choreograph and you act and you sing and you do all of these things. I just think takes so much versatility and talent. And it sounds like you really also love choreography a lot more than I realized.
Oh yeah. Oh,
which
it's so
you
fun.
kind of mentioned earlier, which is so cool. Do you have any productions that you want to choreograph or you want to work on?
Oh my gosh.
Can you think of any?
So I know I mentioned, so again, the shows that, like, there's a couple shows that I'm dying to work on and just in any way I possibly can, whether that's playing a character or like doing the music, doing the choreography, directing, I don't care. I just want a piece of the musical. And I think one of those has always been Once on the Silence. I mean,
same.
Oh my gosh, it's the most underrated musical ever written. I think
it's
believe.
Gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
It's so beautiful.
I got a chance to see it in Chicago and I tell you what, I was changed.
Oh my word, I bet.
Yes.
That is so amazing.
Hey, I tell you what, let's work on it.
Let's do it, Sarah.
Music direct with Me or Corey, I don't know. And I'll direct.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
We'll do it. It'll be
Oh
awesome.
my word. Oh, I love it so much.
It's seriously a dream project for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yes.
Oh, I love that one. And there's a ton more that I just would love to work on. We talked about that one earlier, so that came to my mind first.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so true. And I guess in the same way, and I know that you might have the same answer, I'm not sure, but what about like characters though? Do you have any characters that you really want to play that you haven't gotten a chance to play yet?
That's a good question too. Okay, so I've gotten to play, one of my all-time favorite actresses of all time is Julie Andrews.
Amen,
so if anything ever came along that she was part of,
Amen.
I'd be happy to do, because I don't know, I've always connected with anything she's ever played and just really had fun bringing it to life. So I got to play Guinevere in Camelot at Cornstalk, and that was so fun. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
Yes.
So we got to play play Lancelot and Guinevere, so that was so fun. And I'm like, I just really connect with Julie Andrews' characters. I don't know why. I don't know if it's I love to sing in her style type thing. So if anything ever came across that she played, I'd love to do that. Like I said, anything about Once on This Island. Another underrated musical is Light in the Piazza. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Yes, I have.
Oh my
It's
word.
so gorgeous.
Harry was in it. My brother was in it in Springfield.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, maybe 12. And oh my word, I was like, this is so gorgeous. And it was in an outdoor theater. And so I'd love to be part of that too. It's just such a beautiful story. And Italy. I mean, I can't.
It's gorgeous.
So,
the music is so beautiful and hard. Some of it's really hard too.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, very. I mean, very, very difficult for sure. So, that'd be fun to be part of. But I feel like all the time, like every year, there's always like a musical that you either forgot about because you've been so busy, or like
100%.
a musical that you're like, oh yeah, I want to do that. So, I'm sure there's countless musicals that I would just love to be part of. Yeah. Be here all night telling you about it. But
I do think your voice is very suited for kind of the Julie Andrews
I
type.
love it.
It is like you're a beautiful soprano, and that's kind of her vibe. And
I've always loved that. Oh my gosh. Well, I adore her. I love everything she does. So it'd be fun.
Who doesn't?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, she's queen.
That's amazing. So when you are seeing kind of what shows are out there, or you know of potential opportunities to do a production in the area, how do you decide what show you're going to do? Like, I want to work on that project, or I'm going to do this show at this theater. How do you decide that?
Oh, that's a tough question. Because like we've talked about, there's a lot of amazing theaters in the area, and it's tough because they all come out with their seasons, and there's usually more than one that interests you. And so, I mean, scheduling's a big part of it, what fits in your schedule, and depending on where you are in life, whether you're, when I was in school, then that played a huge factor, in whether I could do it or not. And now with work and everything, it depends on, what season of the year it's in and how busy, I am and everything. But I think that ultimately it's just something where, I mean, personally, I pray a lot about the decision, because I'm like, I feel like everyone's meant to do different shows and be part of it, because everyone can bring something different. So I think it's just, when I do that, then one specific show always stands out above the rest ultimately. And then I just, of course, do my research about each one and see what I feel like I could bring to each one. And then just kind of trust the process and trust, if you get it, then you get it, and it was meant to be type thing.
Totally. Oh, that's so true. I mean, if it was meant to be in your life, you'll get the experience.
Yeah,
you'll get the opportunity.
Absolutely. And every single show could be cast a million different ways and still be an amazing show. It just depends on, where people are at the same time. It just depends on what they're looking for, really, because, you have to learn to just not take anything personally, because ultimately everyone has something different they can bring to each role. And it's just, that's what makes it so amazing and so beautiful. And something I've definitely realized more with being on, the director side of it too. It's like, it's never anything personal. So like people and the kids today who are auditioning should never take it, it's, obviously that's never going to happen. You always take it personally in some way, but I always encourage them, it's so hard, but everyone has something so beautiful to bring, and it just depends. It has to be, the right place at the right time type thing.
And I think that's something I had to come to terms with. I don't know, it sounds like you too, but I had to come to terms with, I may not fit into the director's vision. And that's all it is. Yeah. It really is down to that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it sounds like you totally get that. Did you grow up doing CCT?
I did, and I loved it. So the first production I did, of course, was the community production of Seussical, but I did Fiddler on the Roof for CCT. And that was so much fun. I got to do it with my 2 younger sisters, and we had a blast. And I've done a lot of youth shows too. So it's really fun for kids to work with other kids and work together to bring a show to life. And it's fun. And now when Tyler and I direct shows for youth, we always tell them, like, look, you're kids, but we believe in putting on, a professional production, and it's so much fun to like have them rise to the challenge to do their best and not settle for anything less. Because, oh my gosh, I mean, the youth in the area are so insanely talented, and it was the case when we were kids too. And we've just worked with amazing kids when we were children. So we love doing it. We directed Music Man together. That was a youth show. That was sponsored by Chesterton Academy a couple years ago now. And this summer we're doing Beauty and the Beast. And
awesome.
We love that so much. We've done it too many times, but it's okay. So we love working with kids, and we love, because we remember working as kids. We remember what it was like to get to do a show and get to have a lead part, even though you're a kid, which is so much fun and a really good experience.
And I think they do rise to the challenge, which I love that you pointed that out, because sometimes I think we underestimate collectively the ability of these kids. Yeah. And I'm sure, adults looked at us when we were kids and felt the same way. But I'm glad that you have that sort of mindset and vision, because I think it is important to foster that growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a growing experience when you grow up doing theater with
absolutely.
people.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm wondering, when you work on projects and you do these musicals and you choreograph and direct and music direct and act, what inspires you when you do it?
That's a really good question too. My gosh, I think that, well, it's different depending on how I work on a show. So I guess like when I'm in a show, it's so inspiring to see the passion that the director, music director, and choreographer have for it, and why they decided to spend so much time and invest so much time to bring it to life. That's so inspiring. It's inspiring to see all of the audience members come to spend their time and money to see this show and support it. And it's inspiring to see the passion that all of your fellow actors put into it. And I could say that for the side of being on the other side of it too, putting on a show, to see your cast come together and bond and really spend time. You notice and you know that they're spending time at home going over their lines and songs and knowing the passion that they're pouring into it, and the time that they could be spending anywhere, and they're choosing to take the time to help you put on your show. So it's such a labor of love, but
it is.
It's so I would say that honestly, like, every single part of it's inspiring, whether you're in the director's chair or whether you're a cast member, or whether you're in the audience just watching a show. It's an amazing experience all the way around.
And it's mostly, for the majority of theater experiences in the area, it's really a lot of volunteers.
Oh, absolutely. I was just thinking that actually as I was saying that. It's a lot of hours that you'll never get back, but you don't want it back, because it went into putting on this amazing show that so many people got to enjoy. So yeah, I would agree with that completely. It's inspiring to see people spend so much time on something just because they love it.
I wouldn't give my experiences back for anything.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and I don't
absolutely
think you
not.
would either.
No, yeah.
For sure. This is awesome. Okay, so I think we're coming to the point where I want to do some rapid fire questions with you. Are you ready for this?
I don't know, but let's do it.
So some of these are going to be theater related. Some of them are not.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll kind of wrap up.
Awesome. Okay, yes.
So first thing I want you to do, though, is explain to me what theater means to you in 10 words or less.
I would say you can touch so many lives with just one show.
I love that.
So I think that, I mean, you honestly can. People like go and spend a couple hours of their life, and I think that you can touch, you just don't know whose life you're going to touch that night. And you don't know who walked in there struggling with something, and how the show you're putting on is going to just help them get through it and help give them a little hope. They can forget about everything they're stressed out about. They can forget about all their worries for just a couple hours and go to a different world and be entertained for a couple hours with you. So I'd say, yeah, you can touch so many lives with just one show.
That's awesome. And I think that is exactly why we do what we do all the time. So I like that answer a lot. I think that really speaks to the magic of theater.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about, right? That's the experience we're aiming for.
Absolutely.
Whether the audience realizes it or not.
Yeah.
Like, we're looking to impact people.
Yeah.
So, cool. Okay, so these are the more so rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So these are going to be short answers, and we'll see. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about you through this.
Perfect. Okay.
So what is your favorite musical?
I'd have to say West Side Story.
Oh my
If I had
gosh.
one. It's so hard to pick just one because I love them all for so many reasons, but
It is.
if I had to pick one, I'd say West Side Story.
I totally support that decision. You know I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your favorite food?
Pasta.
Any specific kind of pasta?
Either Alfredo or macaroni and cheese. And
Both are
it's my
great options.
downfall. And my poor uncle who owns a health studio is always trying to tell me to stop. And I can't. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's so good. You need
It's
some
so
mac
good.
and cheese in
Oh,
your
yeah.
life. Come on
Oh, yeah.
now.
And some chicken Alfredo. Ah, so good.
Okay, place you want to travel but haven't.
Oh, I'd love to go to Lebanon because my family and I are Lebanese, and I'd love to go there one day and hope to someday. We'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite composer.
Oh my gosh, don't do this to me. I can't handle this right.
I think you have a couple that you love, but
I have to say Alan Menken.
I figured that was going to be the answer.
You knew. Oh, we got to see him. Tyler and I went to Chicago and saw him, and then we got to meet him and take
That's
a
so
selfie.
cool.
And I was dead. And he's just one of the most inspiring humans that's ever walked the face of the earth. He's absolutely incredible. His music is just so powerful and beautiful,
Yes.
and I love him so much.
He's given us some of the most gorgeous music
I know.
we've ever heard.
I know. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Incredible.
I don't think I could even say anybody else. I mean, like I said, every show is just so beautiful and every score is just amazing and brings something special to your heart. So he's one that always stands out just offhand.
That's amazing. Favorite holiday?
Christmas. I have to say Christmas.
I would agree. Yeah.
It's just so
Christmas,
happy.
yes.
And there's so much great quality time you spend with your family and friends and loved ones. And yeah, I have to say Christmas. I love the spirit of Christmas and all the songs. And yeah, we decorate too early and start listening to Christmas music way too early, but it's okay.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay. Favorite part of the production process for doing a musical?
Oh my gosh. I'd say once everyone is comfortable around each other and has gotten to know each other and started to bond, and you get to that point where you're in a group, you're okay, we could do this, we could pull this off. That's my first favorite part. And then I'd say when you finally get to open, there's just no feeling like opening night jitters and no feeling like your adrenaline going crazy and turning that into energy. So yeah, I mean, but all of it's so fun, and it's so fun to meet everyone. It's the saddest thing in the world to wrap a show, but I mean, bittersweet for sure, knowing you've done a great job. So I'd say though, when it finally starts clicking into place is one of my favorite parts.
Do you think that moment is Tech Week, or do you think it's...
I think before that. I think it's before. I think that in a lot of shows, there's just you're rehearsing, and then there's a moment when you're yeah, this is actually working out.
Right.
Because there's always that doubt. You always forget that it's going to work out because, I mean, there's so much work that goes into it. So many different elements you have to throw into it.
Right.
And I think when you finally get to perform with costumes, makeup, and hair is another really special moment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That moment when I put on the costume, I don't know how you feel, but
there's nothing like it. Yeah.
I mean, you feel like the character in that moment. So
yeah, for sure.
I totally get it. Okay. Favorite role you've played?
Oh, no. I have to say Cinderella because
Yeah.
it was really well, first of all, obviously meeting the love of my life was kind of cool.
Yeah,
But
just a
also
little.
it was so fun to play a princess and get to meet all of these little girls and boys after the show. And they look at
gosh.
you like you're actually a princess. And they're always and Cinderella is just a beautiful character because she's so patient and loving and so kind. I mean, despite every horrible thing that's happened.
Right.
And it's hard to find the courage to keep that kind of hope that she has throughout the whole show. It's hard to find that in real life sometimes. So it was fun to portray that character and show kids be courageous, be kind.
That's awesome.
you can never be kind enough in this world. You just can't.
I'm glad you gave her some depth and you brought that part of Cinderella to life, because I think it's so easy to see her as kind of one-dimensional.
Sure.
But
yeah.
I think if you give her that depth, that's really cool.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yay. Well, thanks for playing my rapid
Yay,
fire
thank
question
you.
game.
That was really fun.
It was cool to learn more about people that way. So I always like
Absolutely.
firing those questions off. But before we kind of wrap up and do the really final question, I know you've talked maybe a couple times about some upcoming projects you've got going on, but do you want to tell everyone what you've got coming up and what projects you're planning on working on?
Yes, absolutely. So the ones that are, set in stone as of this moment are Tyler and I, like I said, will be directing Beauty and the Beast this summer.
Cool.
And we'll have auditions in May, and any kids in the area ages 10 to 18 can come audition. We'd love to see them. So they just need to look on Facebook for Beauty and the Beast auditions, and they could type in Chesterton as a keyword because, of course, they're a sponsor, and it's so much fun. Like I said, we're obsessed with Beauty and the Beast. Tyler's done it maybe about 1 million times,
I was
maybe.
gonna say.
And I've done it a couple times myself, and it's such a blast to be part of. So,
Cool.
like I said, we love sharing theater experiences with our youth, so we love it. So that'll be really fun this summer, and then hopefully a couple other school things coming out that aren't quite set in stone yet, but we're hoping pretty soon. Hopefully by the time this airs, they will be in. We'll be able to announce that.
Oh my gosh, yes. And of course, assuming all systems go, right?
Yeah,
that's
I
the
know,
idea.
I know.
So.
Fingers crossed. Fingers
That's so
crossed.
exciting. Well, I hope we get to work together on a
I
future
know, it's
production
been
again.
way too long. Way too long.
I think last time, West Side Story was our
West Side
last.
Story, and that was 2019?
I guess Charlie Brown too, but I know you guys were tech for that, so.
Which was still fun, but we need to be in one together, Sarah.
I think that would be
it's
so
long
much
overdue.
Fun. It is long overdue. But okay, so I think the final question that I pose to all my guests that I really want to know is, why does Peoria Theater matter to you?
Oh. Peoria Theater is it's so magical because to have the chance to put on a show when you normally wouldn't, you know what I mean? If you're not going to make it your profession and not move somewhere else, for us that just love our hometown and we just love living in Peoria, we love the people, we love our families, our work that we get to do here, and we wouldn't trade that for the world or dream of moving. So for those of us that experience that, to be able to put on amazing professional level shows like we do and we get to experience is so irreplaceable. And like I said, Tyler and I love being in Peoria. We love the people and love working in all the different theaters in the area. So I think it just means having a place to put on beautiful art together that's local, and we don't have to travel for it and don't have to leave Peoria, our home for it. So I think it's so important. I love that it gives a lot of kids opportunity to grow and thrive.
I love that so much, and I think that is exactly why we do what we do.
Yeah,
it really is. And I do think we have just some professional level talent in the area.
Absolutely.
And it's incredible to me time after time that we're still able to put on these incredible productions and offer it to the community. And we have a pretty special arts area in Peoria.
Absolutely.
So just why
top-notch
we do the podcast.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Mary Rose, for coming on the
course.
podcast.
Thank you for
it was
having
awesome
me.
to talk to you.
Oh, it was amazing to catch up.
So,
this is great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Peoria Theater People. This podcast is produced by me, Sarah Hall, and the sound is mastered and engineered by Hunter Goodhart.